So after accusing the Indian agencies of killing Hardeep Singh Nijjar, Canada has yet again made another serious accusation against India. Canada has accused India of spreading disinformation and using fake websites to propagate a false narrative. A prominent Indian businessman has been specifically targeted by the Canadian authorities, and Canada claims that this businessman is being groomed by India's intel agency to further India's disinformation campaign. So that's the claim that has been made by Canada. Viewers, we remember what happened with the Nijjar claim as well. Canada going to town with these accusations against India, and every single time it was asked for any shred of evidence, they had no answers. It was a complete embarrassment, but clearly no lessons have been learned. My colleague Rishabh is joining us on the broadcast with the details. Rishabh, not new to Canada, making an allegation and then not being able to provide even a shred of evidence. In the latest, what is the charge against India, and is there any evidence whatsoever on the same?
Well, Pratibha, definitely. This Globe News article suggests that Srivastava Group has been indulging in, influencing the political system in Canada. Since 2009, Indian agencies have asked Srivastava Group's Ankit Srivastava to do, work on its behalf in Canada. Indian government is very clear. Whatever is being claimed is nothing but just misinformation. The allegations are misplaced, are misleading, and far from truth. Indian government is very clear that it is Canada that has been interfering in India's political affairs, not India. It's not a vice versa case. It's not a reciprocal case. Canada has time and again, their diplomats have been interfering in India's political system. We have seen India expelling, diplomats from New Delhi. India also asking Canada to bring in parity, which led 40 odd diplomats from India, the Canadian diplomats in India, to leave the country at a week notice. And then there was expulsion as well last year. So India has been very clear that the way Canadian diplomats, the Canadian authorities have been trying to influence the fault lines in India, the way Canadian government is trying to influence the political affairs in India is something that is external interference in India, and all the allegations that are being made against India do not stand ground. There is nothing to substantiate that. We have seen the Prime Minister of Canada leveling wild charges against India and then going to the Standing Committee of Parliament and claiming that they do not
so
have
Canada could not provide any evidence. Rishabh, stay with us. So the Canadian publication resorting to fakery yet again, and government sources have rejected Canada's claim, saying this is very clear fakery. So sources telling Times Now that this is a very misplaced and misleading report. Sources saying India has hit back at the interference charge, saying it is actually Canada that is meddling in India's affairs. So, well, Rishabh, the response that has come in from India based on information from sources hitting back in Canada and leveling the charge at Canada, saying it is interference that Canada is indulging in, meddling in India's affairs.
Well, while I was talking to an Indian official, sources in Government of India, the term that he used was Manohar Kahaniya. We have heard this in last 2 years, Pratibha, that how there are stories that are cooked up, the stories that are claimed on the floor of the House of Canadian Parliament, and then there is nothing substantial that comes out from that. In the Nijjar case, completely from 19th of September 2023, till now, we have heard the Canadian government saying that Indian agencies, Indian agents were involved. Till date, they haven't been able to furnish any proof about India's interference. B, they have still not, and when we are saying they have still not substantiated their claims, they have said this on the in front of the disciplinary committee, the Standing Committee on Public Affairs in Canada, in front of Canadian government, that the way the charges were leveled back then, there were allegations, nothing concrete or nothing in proof or documentary proof. B, their junior foreign minister, their former NSA have claimed in front of the same committee that they paid Western media to create a Canadian narrative against
Okay.
India. So this is very clear. All these issues that are being coming in on Western media, be it in the United States or Europe, has been planted, and on record they have said that they willfully leaked wrong information
Okay.
against India to these publications.
Okay, so the Canadian publication has made several bizarre claims. Let's break it down for our viewers and tell the claims that have been made by the Canadian media outlet, trying to malign Indian agencies yet again, another desperate bid by Canada. The first charge being that India is involved in foreign interference. Not the first time Canada has said it. Once it has been called out already, it was not able to provide a single shred of evidence, and now you have the charge being leveled yet again. Another charge being that India is running a disinformation campaign on Canada. And they've specifically named an Indian businessman, saying that the Indian businessman has been used to set up a media house in Canada. And now fake websites are being used to spread this false information, to spread propaganda. And that the Indian businessman was groomed by the intel agencies. These are the bizarre claims that have been made by the Canadian outlet. Let's go across to senior news editor Bhavtosh Singh, who's also on the broadcast with us. Bhavtosh, previously when Canada had made the allegations against India, it was not able to prove it. At a time when the credibility of Canada is quite low, it is facing quite a bit of resistance from the United States as well. At a time like that, Canada yet again doing a hit job on India.
Yes, Pratibha. In fact, the story is, one can puncture many loopholes in the story, primarily because of the fact that a businessman has been accused of setting up several fake websites, and these websites have been spreading disinformation in Canada over a period of 5 to 6 years. Now, adding to what Rishabh has said, that these are completely misleading and misplaced allegations that have been leveled against India, not for the first time, but starting from July 2023 onwards, when India was accused of carrying out the killing of Hardeep Nijjar. And so far, no evidence has been produced. And despite India asking for evidence, and India, in fact, had said that if Indian state or non-state actors are involved, then action will be taken. Despite leveling such allegations, no evidence has been produced so far. What is most laughable, Pratibha, in this entire story or in news report is the fact that the claim that this businessman has been groomed both by RNDW as well as Intelligence Bureau. Remember, both the agencies are separate. RNDW, Research Analysis Wing, looks after the external information gathering, and Intelligence Bureau looks after the domestic intelligence. Now, both can't groom one individual, and the story, in fact, looks straight out of a movie or an OTT platform. This individual, in fact, goes ahead and marries a Canadian national, then gets a residency permit, and then that's how he set up these several websites. So one has to, in fact, look into the story before even confirming whether the story is correct or not.
Okay, all right. Bhavtosh, I request you to stay with us. Former diplomat Mr. Suresh Goyal is with us on the broadcast. Ambassador, thank you for joining us. What do you make of these new charges that have been leveled by Canada? Like we've been mentioning, it's not the first time. The first time around, they were not able to prove any of the allegations against India. No evidence whatsoever provided. And now yet again, accusing India of involvement in foreign interference and naming an Indian businessman.
You see, these kind of allegations, I suspect that till there is a change in the government in Canada, and also with the developments across the southern border, the USA, Trump practically being at the heels of the Trudeau, I suspect that these kind of baseless allegations will continue to be made by them. And I would really feel that unless they are able to establish any of the charges, we should really not even pay attention to it. They don't deserve any respect. They don't deserve any attention from us. And they should be just dismissed as they are without any basis.
Okay, all right. But, you know, yet again, it's the same. And at a time when the credibility of Canada is at an all-time low, to be making such allegations against India is laughable. Thank you for joining us. Thanking Bhavtosh and Rishabh as well.